everyone, and welcome back to my channel and to all things language, culture, and travel. My name is Michaela if you're new here, and if you're not, welcome back. Today I want to talk to you all about my travel in Morocco during Ramadan and Eid. So if you didn't know, I used to be a Peace Corps volunteer in Morocco until COVID when I was evacuated, and so this trip that I took last week was the first time I'd been back to Morocco in 2 years. I spent the first 3 months of my service and Peace Corps training in a city called Hajeb, and then the second part of my service I spent in my final site, which would have been Ben Guerir for 2 years, but unfortunately I was evacuated, and so I wanted to go back and see my family and kind of tie up some loose ends that I didn't get to do before I left. So to preface this video, I purposely planned some of my trip to be during the end of the month of Ramadan because I had always wanted to fast and experience Ramadan in a Muslim country. So I thought no better place than to do it in my second home, Morocco. And I wanted to fast and I wanted to experience firsthand, the traditions and the cultural practice and the religious practice that is Ramadan in Morocco. I specifically wanted to do this as an American that has no religious preference. And in my experience, the people really love when you try the traditions and the religion and take part in everything that they're doing. And so if you're a non-Muslim and you've ever tried fasting before for Ramadan, leave me a comment below and let me know how that worked for you, and kind of give me the story behind it. I only completed 3 days of fasting, but one day I do hope to spend an entire month of Ramadan fasting in a Muslim country in the future. So I arrived in Morocco on the 26th day of Ramadan, and although I wasn't fasting, I really didn't eat that much that day, just to preface the next coming days. But when I got to my family's house, it was time to break fast. They had already broken their fast, and they were planning to go to the mosque that night. So when I arrived, I just decided to eat something small, but I couldn't really stay awake because I was so tired, not only from traveling, but because of the 2-hour time difference between France and Morocco. So I didn't really stay up, and I just, decided to eat. And the next day I hadn't planned on fasting because I knew I had a very long travel day ahead of me. So my plan was to go from Ben Guerir and take a train all the way up to Meknès, and then from Meknès I was going to take a grand taxi from Meknès to Al Hajeb. So I wasn't planning to fast, and my host mom even packed me a little something to eat as a snack on the way. However, I didn't feel comfortable eating on the train, and therefore I kind of fasted unintentionally that day, but it was fine and it went really well, and it ended up being my first day of fasting. I arrived at my family's house in Al Hajeb, and by the time I arrived there, it was just 2 hours until I went to break my fast. So this was the 27th day of Ramadan, and my host mom told me that on this day, it is customary for Moroccans to go to the cemetery. My host family up north said that they don't go to the cemetery, but the goal is clear. You are supposed to give money to the poor, and you give an amount that is allocated to each member of the family, and you add it up and you make sure you give that money to the poor. And this money, in the eyes of God, goes back to the dead in good deeds. So when I arrived in Hajeb, it was just 2 hours until iftar, which is the time that you break your fast. And then I did so with my family, and I tried to stay up as late as I could by going to my host sister's organization where she works, and kind of just spending time with the women there and trying to stay awake and participate in the activities that go on during the night. Hey, so I just wanted to check in a little bit with you guys. Unfortunately, I haven't been able to vlog so much because I've just been super busy the past couple days with traveling, but also today my host sister, honestly, I love both of my host families so much. They always include me in everything. And so my host sister took me to the hammam, which is a public bath. And then afterwards, she brought henna so that we could do henna. And then afterwards, she asked me if I wanted to get a blowout done. So I did a blowout. And I went with her to her work afterwards. And she works for an association for women who are victims of domestic violence. And they make things right now they're making sweets for the holiday that's about to come up. And yeah, and they also made me a jaleba. So I have my first jaleba and I just feel so cute, and hopefully I could get like a video in me in it or something, or I can insert a picture. But I've just had a really good day, and we ate, you know, we broke our fast, and I'm feeling a lot better. I mean, I was a little bit tired because of the hammam. It's basically a sauna. Yeah, it's going pretty well. So tomorrow I think is gonna be the last day of fasting, because I think they've determined that Eid is gonna be on Monday. So yeah, I'm excited. And tomorrow I'm traveling again all the way back down to Ben Guerir. So anyway, thanks a lot for following along. It's been really interesting if you're still following to this point, and hopefully soon I'll have some more kind of solid Morocco travel content. So I'll see you soon. So after we broke our fast, I repeated the night and I tried to go with my sister to her organization and stay up as late as I could. Even tried to eat a little bit in the morning before the next day of fasting. But again, I was so tired and I crashed. But the next day I was going to be traveling again, and I knew that I was still going to be fasting because I'm just not comfortable eating in public, you know, during the time that everyone else is fasting. So the next day I headed all the way back down to Ben Guerir so I could spend the last 2 days with my family. So I arrived at my host family's house in Ben Guerir just in time for iftar. So I broke my fast with my family, and then it came on the news that Eid, the celebration following the month of Ramadan, was gonna be the next day. And I wish I knew enough about the lunar calendar to explain it to you, but all you need to know is that the moon and the lunar calendar determines how long the month of Ramadan is and when Eid will take place. So the next day was going to be a big celebration. So the next morning we woke up early, we put on our jalabas, and my host family took me to the mosque so that I could watch a prayer. And it was really intense because every time I looked, and when we arrived, the square was already pretty much filled up. It was filling up quickly, but every time I looked, there were just more people flooding into the square, setting up their prayer rugs and getting ready to pray. And the best words I can use to describe it are devotion and unity. It's amazing how many people come together, and no matter who you are or where you're from or what you're going through, you know, you believe like in the eyes of God you are equal, and you are all praying together, and you all are believing in the same thing and have faith in the same thing. And I found that experience to just be absolutely incredible. So I have mentioned that I am an American that has no religious preference, but I am someone who appreciates culture and tradition and religion, and so I wanted to, you know, experience this firsthand. And I'm very open to all different traditions, and I'm just trying to gain a perspective on the world. And right now I believe that good deeds lead to good things, whether there's a working hand of God or if it is just the universe working in ways that I don't understand. I am just striving to explore my own spirituality. So the rest of that day and the following couple days afterwards, you know, that's the time that you go and visit your family and friends and celebrate this month that you just dedicated to fasting and to God. And so we went to visit my khalti, which is like my aunt, but she's more like my second host mom, I guess, in my site in Ben Guerir. So I guess I have 3 host moms, and that was basically it. That wraps up the time that I spent in Morocco during Ramadan and observing this religious tradition, and it was absolutely wonderful. So let me know if you have any similar experiences. It doesn't have to be with Ramadan, it can be any time that you have stepped out of your comfort zone and tried to experience a cultural or religious tradition that was different from your own. And if you're interested in knowing what I did after these 5 days and how I traveled around Morocco, then go ahead and subscribe for the next video that's going to be about Marrakesh, and then the following videos about transportation and the other places that I went to in Morocco. So I hope that you enjoyed this video, and don't forget to give it a like, and I'll see you in my next one.
And you can